just to now go into the Justin Wilde Challenge. Justin, we have a highly motivated group of songwriters in NSAI Australia who love rising to the challenge of writing for a publisher's brief. So what would be some of the must-have inclusions in a Mr. Christmas holiday song challenge for NSAI Australia members, like tempos and ideal subject matter,
Okay, well, back to mid-tempo or up-tempo.
Okay.
Often when I was writing non-seasonal stuff, I mean, I would listen to what was on the radio, and if I heard a feel that just, like I said, made my, muscles twitch or something, I'd say, okay, let's write a song like that one in that feel. Keep it short. Don't get into 4 minutes if you can avoid it. Try and keep it down to certainly under 4, and preferably, I'd say 2.5 minutes to 3.5 is ideal.
Mm-hmm.
Craft-wise, it better be on the mark and really professionally written. Look for that great title that's unique and interesting rather than one that's kind of mundane. And it could be in any of those holidays we just mentioned. And preferably style-wise, again, I would tell people this. If you write great country, don't try and force yourself to write R&B or rap. There's plenty of rap people that can do rap and they can't do country. Write to your strength.
Mm.
Now, I mentioned that I am looking specifically for those kind of fun, jumpy, danceable things like the Mariah Carey, You're All I Want for Christmas Is You, or whatever. If you can write that stuff, great, try it. The stuff for boy bands, girl bands, teen acts is very, I need that. I need not rap, and I don't really need hip-hop, but I would say good R&B or edgy R&B as opposed to classic R&B.
Mm-hmm.
Edgy R&B that would work for some of the current R&B acts. And it could have maybe a slight hip-hop thing to it.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about Christmas music is if you want something that's going to last, it should be kind of a little more on the traditional side. Because people are a little more nostalgic at Christmas. They're a little more fuzzy and warm than they are at the rest of the year. I don't think they're looking for, the next Christmas song by 9 Inch Nails or Bare Naked Ladies, even though Bare Naked Ladies did a Christmas album and sold very well to their fan base.
Yeah.
I don't think, and I hope, that, they're not playing those 30 years from now. I'd rather be listening to White Christmas and, I'll Be Home for Christmas and Chestnuts Roasting and that kind of stuff. It seems to be the mainstay that's traditional. That, I think, would give you the long term. And then just strive for unique chord changes and patterns. You want to also, lyrically, I can tell you this.
Okay.
Christmas is just filled with all kinds of wonderful images, but they've all been used hundreds of times. So your challenge as a lyricist on a holiday song is to find a very unique way of saying the same old thing. And the example I cite when I teach lyric workshops or I appear at groups is the Christmas song, Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire.
Yeah.
If you look at the 4 opening lines of that song, 3 of them are brilliant. The first one, chestnuts roasting on an open fire. No one had ever used that image before that song came out, and maybe a few have tried to copy it, but not been successful at it since then. It was a vivid image that that appealed to at least 2, maybe 3 senses, visually, the smell, the sense of smell, the sense of even touching chestnuts roasting on it. If you've ever roasted chestnuts, you know what they smell like. You can see that image. Great line, new, fresh. Jack Frost nipping at your nose. That is a wonderfully colorful, creative, unique way of saying, the way most writers would say it, it was chilly outside.
Yeah.
Well, Jack Frost nipping at your nose is light years above, it was chilly outside. The third line is fairly pedestrian. Yuletide carols being sung by a choir. They stated it pretty eloquently, but I've heard a lot of, choir singing, and that's not much better. But the fourth line, and folks dressed up like Eskimos.
Yeah.
Never heard something that unique, that inventive in a lyric. And so that's what you've got to be trying to do. Every Christmas song is pretty much going to be saying the same old thing. So you've got to find a way lyrically to put it into phrases that no one else has heard before. Now, if you have that really unique, fresh title, that will help, inspire that. But please don't say, well, it was snowing outside and the carolers were singing and the church bells were ringing. That's the same old cliches I've heard 5,000 times. You're not gonna get a phone call return.
And that's what we want to hear, Justin. We want to get that phone call return.
Yeah, you want to hear some bells ringing too, but it's not the same one.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I just want to thank you for such a great conversation about your specialty, Mr. Christmas. It's just been very enlightening. I've enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to sharing this with all of our songwriters in NSAI in Australia, and just seeing if we can maybe go halfway to, or even 3/4 of the way to impressing you. That'd be just
I hope
great.
So. Now, one thing, I never return materials that are sent from outside the U.S. only because it requires me to make a special trip to the post office to figure out the postage. So for writers that are sending within the U.S., they include self-addressed envelopes. I do send materials back that I'm not interested in. But it's just too time-consuming, even if they were to provide postage, coupons or whatever. It just eats up too much of my time to go to the post office, stand in line to find out how much it's going to cost to send this back.
Oh, totally understood.
So people just need to know that if they're sending something, make sure it's a copy and they're not sending any masters and it's not going to get returned. But I listen to everything that comes in, usually within 2 to 3 days. I try and work all during the day, and then after dinner at night I try to go through the songs that have come in that day so they don't start stacking up. And if it's something that's great, they're going to hear from me. Now, it really helps to put their email address rather than their their phone number, because of time zone changes and all that kind of stuff and the expense. I would much rather reply by email. And then we'll go from there by email. Okay, and MP3s are fine as well? I would tell you I prefer not. Things tend to get buried so quickly, never to be seen again until I do my, every 6 months email clean out, and I go, oh, look what came in 4 months ago. Hey, that was a hit. Yeah, really. It's just, I get about 200 emails a day, and if I don't have time to stop what I'm doing, if I'm in the middle of calling producers or whatever, and I don't have time to stop and listen to that MP3, by the time I do, 2 hours later, there's 30 emails on top of it. So MP3 is most likely going to get lost in the shuffle. Plus, if it's something that I do like that I want to keep on file for reference, it's much easier for me to keep track of stuff that came in an envelope that I can put in the pending file and grab it at a moment's notice. Okay. Okay, that sounds good. All right, Justin. Well, thank you so much. I've really appreciated our conversation. It's been enlightening. And I will tell you, lastly, I did go to your website, and I don't know if it was the first song up or whatever I heard, but it was quite impressive. It was had great energy. So if you send me a Christmas song in that vein, it'll definitely get some attention. Thank you so much, Justin. Bye. And have a Merry Christmas. Oh, thank you. You too. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.